Hey guys, I'm going to tell you a little trick that I've picked up in many different guitar lessons from guitar teachers I've had. They've kind of passed it down to me, and I just kind of realized it over again in a recent interview that Paul Gilbert did on this really awesome podcast called No Guitar Is Safe. If you haven't listened to it, you need to listen to it. If you're a guitar player, I promise you will dig it. But anyways, the concept is playing more melodically, and the way you can achieve this is by avoiding root notes, which means if you have a B minor chord, then you avoid the B notes over that chord when you're improvising. And then, if the chord changes to, say, E minor, then you want to avoid the E notes over those chords. And you can limit yourself in many different ways. It doesn't just have to be the root. It could be, I'm also going to avoid the fifth or something like that. Basically, these notes, like the root and the fifth, are a bit more bland sounding. Now, of course, this is a subjective topic, so I'm not saying just throw away the root, never play the root again. But what I am saying is it's interesting to put this restriction on yourself and remove that from your fretboard, so to say, and see what it does to your guitar playing. So I'm going to play a little groove here and loop it, and then I'm going to show you what it's like when I play the root and what it's like when I take the root out of my playing, and you can decide how you like that. So here's the groove. As you could hear, when I didn't play the root, I tended to play stuff that was a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. And there were a couple times in the section when I was trying to avoid the root that I actually hit it. It's going to be almost impossible for you to avoid the root completely. It's just an exercise, but the times that I was kind of hovering around the root in the first part of that little improv session was less interesting to me than when I was trying to avoid the root. So I highly encourage you to give this a try. And if you don't know much about music terminology like root or fifth or seventh, whatever, check out Guitar Super System. It is a course that I teach. There is a link in the description just for you guys here on YouTube that you can use to sign up for my course, and it'll go over all the different modes of the major scale. So all the stuff that I'm using to improvise, it will go over that stuff. It'll go over arpeggios, triads, chords, and of course how to implement all those things into your own guitar playing, which is the most important thing. So I would say if you wanted to get started with this today, take a chord progression that's very simple that you can solo over using whatever you're comfortable with, whether it's the harmonic minor scale or the pentatonic scale, and find the root note of each chord that you will be improvising over and try and avoid those notes altogether. And that way you don't necessarily have to know the names of the notes that you are playing, you just need to know which ones you're trying to avoid. And of course, in genres like the blues, that root note is going to be a little bit harder to avoid. So it's a little bit easier to kind of do this in a melodic situation as opposed to a traditional blues solo where you're more compelled to hit that root note. So either way, whichever chord progression you choose, just be sure to find the root note of each chord and avoid it. So leave a comment if you have any questions about this. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.